This is the Voyage Report podcast, where you get the scoop on travel. Now, the editor-in-chief of the Voyage Report, Mark Albert.
Greetings, fellow travelers, and welcome. When we started this podcast, we promised to bring you travel trends as well, and here's perhaps the start of a trend. Have you ever heard of a mom's tour at an airport? It's really popular at one Midwest airport. So popular, in fact, they're adding tours and hours. If you're a parent or a parent-to-be who travels, you'll want to meet our guest today. Lisa Dalpes is the Director of Marketing for the Akron-Canton Airport in Ohio. She joins us today via Skype from her office in North Canton, Ohio. Lisa, welcome to the Voyage Report podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be with you today.
Lisa, what is a mom's tour?
So our mom's tour is the opportunity that we allow moms to come into the airport and try it out from the beginning to the time that they board. So in our airport particularly, we have different parking options, and we start them in their car, having them park. Our shuttle drivers come, get them, and then we give them the full experience tour.
So this is for parents who may not be frequent flyers, right? Or whose children may never have flown before.
So we've actually seen many different travelers. So we've seen parents who in the past have traveled a lot by themselves, with each other, or people who have never flown. But when you throw a child in the mix, whether it be a baby or a 5-year-old, it gets to be a very different experience. And we see that people get nervous about that. They aren't quite sure what to do about TSA and buying their child a ticket. So even the most seasoned traveler, when you throw a baby in the mix, they have a lot of questions. And so this is an opportunity for all sorts of travelers, regardless of their experience, to come in and try it out with their children.
Even the 1, 2, or 3-year-old traveler, this may be obviously a daunting experience, and you want it to go well, not just for the parents, but for the children as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things, including TSA, that could be out of the normal for a child. You know that they're normally in routine, so they know their surroundings. So to take them into an airport, if you are stressed, they can kind of tell. So this is a good opportunity. It takes the stress out. We walk them through the whole process and ask questions of them, let them ask questions for us. And then putting it in more of a fun environment the first time around gets the kids acclimated to it. And we see that they're enjoying it the whole time. They are excited because it's a big facility. It's new. There's planes. People are nice. So it's fun for everybody when we're doing this.
Well, and of course, it's a dry run. It's a trial run. So when they come back for their actual journey, there may be that sense of familiarity. They may not be as stressed or difficult because they are like, oh, look, it's the airport. We're back here. I've been here before.
Exactly. Yep.
And now when you started this, I think you just started it to do it once, and then you decided to do it twice a year, and now it's once a quarter. So I imagine that it's becoming popular.
Yeah, exactly. So we tried it out in February. It was something that we weren't sure if it was even going to take on, if we would get 5 people or 10 people. It was something I had seen interest in people wanting to come to the airport or just asking other people what to do when they were traveling with kids. Because I was pregnant at the time, and I was into this whole new group on Facebook. And so I just asked that group, I'm like, hey, if we allowed some moms to come in and tour, would you be interested? We got really great feedback. And at that time, we were still thinking to maybe do it once a year if this first one worked. We got such a great response that we opened it up again for June. And whereas February we had 15 people, in June we had close to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're really excited to provide this. It's unique. It's something that you can't do as a parent unless you're here. It's not like you could say, hey, let's go to Target and try this out. So we have a really unique facility here, and we're happy to open it up and kind of ease people's stresses about flying.
Well, before we go too far, I just want to say congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you. Thank you. We actually just got back from her first flight last night. So we went to North Carolina, and we flew into Myrtle Beach, and it was really a great experience. And I had gone through this tour a couple times, and I still had that little bit of anxiety, I guess,
Mm.
hoping, please don't cry on my flight. But she did awesome. She fell asleep and slept the whole time. And you realize that people on the planes, for the most part, they've either gone through it or they see a cute baby and they understand. So that's another thing where parents should know that if your baby cries, it's okay. People are not going to be upset with you.
So now you were sort of like the ambassador, the airport ambassador in these Facebook mom groups that you joined. You didn't really intend to be, but there were just so many questions, and of course you work at an airport and you know the answers. So that's how it began.
Exactly. And I still, to this day, as soon as I see a travel related question come up, I pop on and I give them my spiel and I give them a link. We put up a guide on our website, and it is one of the, aside from our arrivals and departures and routes, it's one of the top visited pages on our website.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so people really, especially now with low cost carriers like Spirit Airlines, for example, it allows more people to travel, especially with children. So whereas before you might get in the car and drive that 10 to 15 hours to Florida, now you're able to do it just a couple hours in the air and you're there enjoying more vacation time. So it's something that more people are having questions about.
Were you personally surprised that it has been so popular?
Yeah, I actually, before I had kids, I saw kids down in the airport and I always thought, oh, that's great. But I guess I was surprised how many families travel with their small children or their little ones. And grandparents too. We've actually had a couple grandparents on our last trip, which was interesting to see and fun for everyone. But yeah, I'm just happy that so many people are able to give their kids that opportunity. And when you do see kids on the plane, they're so excited.
Absolutely. And now, before we go any further, these tours are free, right? There's so many fees at the airport, baggage fees and extra room fees and early boarding fees, but there's no fee here.
Correct. There's no fee at all, and we even provide snacks after. We know kids get little appetites, so we provide snacks and coffees for moms. And another important point is we started this off as a mom's tour, and over the past couple months, we've gotten feedback that dads are interested too. Like I said, we had a couple of grandparents. So it's morphing more into a parent's tour, and that's something we'll have to explore down the line if we need a name change. But primarily it was brought out for those moms, and it's well received. And the last time we had a couple dads, they really enjoyed it. They had great questions and took a lot from it as well.
You know, I was looking at your airport Facebook page, and there was one person who wrote in saying, quote, "Why just moms? Like you're going to prohibit everybody else."
Yeah.
She goes, "Sounds kind of sexist. There are a lot of dads who stay home with their kids." That's what she wrote on Facebook. But as you just mentioned, you don't limit it to moms. It was just sort of a catchy name to start off with.
Exactly. And it is new. So we're not too proud to change it down the road. So we initially targeted moms because that was the group I was in. They came out and we've learned a lot. So our first one was between 10 a.m. and 12. And this is while I was pregnant and didn't understand nap times or feeding times. And so we found out that we ran into some nap time issues. And so then we changed the time to a little bit earlier. And then we also opened it to an evening tour as well, because we have a lot of working parents who are interested in coming, and they're not able to just take the day off to come in and do that tour. So each time we do this tour, we're learning a little bit more. But I think even after our first three, we're so much further than that first one. And each time, though, everyone's taken a lot from it, and we've gotten some feedback from moms who have traveled since. And it truly does. It helps them with the stress of it. Especially with TSA, I know that that can be a tricky situation for a lot of people because you're going in, people are looking through your stuff. But at Akron-Canton, we're really fortunate. I don't know how, but we have the nicest TSA folks here. We do, and we're very, very fortunate. And so we have them, friendly people, but also they're really great about answering questions. So we partner with them for this tour. So we have a supervisor who will speak to the group before we walk in through security. and answers their questions. Something that a lot of people are unaware of is that if your baby has breast milk or formula in bottles, you're able to take those through even if it's greater than 3.4 ounces. And that's something that's really important. Your kid needs to eat. In addition to that, they can also take the fruit pouches that may be 4 ounces or 5 ounces, and fruits and vegetables and things like that. That way they don't have to kind of scramble on the other side to figure out what their kid can eat. And that's really important when they have food allergies too. So we answer all of those questions, and the TSA, they're really great to also offer up the TSA Cares program, which if somebody is still a little bit uneasy before they're traveling after our tour, they're able to call a number, and they have a TSA ambassador that will walk them through the whole process.
Well, I was going to say there have been viral videos over the years of people at TSA security, particularly parents with kids, and I would imagine that being able to ask a TSA officer what exactly is going to happen with my 2-year-old or what's going to happen with my 10-year-old could really be helpful in trying to smooth out some of that anxiety ahead of time.
Absolutely. And there's also the situations where you're going to have to take your baby out of their carrier and walk them through. That's pretty straightforward. But when you have a toddler, do you have to carry them? Are they going to be checked on their own? To up to a 10-year-old, do they need to take their shoes off? Do they need to be checked, et cetera? And so it really does alleviate those questions. And the TSA will be the first to remind them, like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable about something, or if you're questioning something that a TSA officer is saying, go ahead and ask for a supervisor. It doesn't matter if you think it's a little problem or if you're just being paranoid, ask for a supervisor. They'll be happy to come over, and maybe an agent isn't quite familiar with the procedure and you're correct, or maybe they can give you a little bit of insight to make you feel better about the situation.
Now, speaking of partnerships, you also partner with a couple of other organizations. The local sheriff's office, I noticed you had a picture of a deputy and a canine, Anna. Do the kids get to meet the canine or say hi to the deputies?
Yeah, so we always have a deputy in the airport, and so they're, again, friendly as well, and the kids get to say hi to them. And I don't know what it is about uniforms, but kids always seem very attracted to them, and so they're able to ask their own questions. We get to see Anna when she's in. Sometimes she's working, and so we're not able to see her. She has a very important job to do here at the airport. But whenever the kids are able to see the service dogs, or even some passengers with their animals, they get really excited.
And you've partnered also with this program with Spirit Airlines, correct?
Yes, they are a wonderful partner, and it made sense to partner with them. They offer a lot of our nonstop leisure destinations. So going to Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Tampa, Orlando is a big one, Myrtle Beach. They offer nonstops to all of those destinations, and we know that that's where a lot of parents go with little ones. So when we approached them, they were so excited to help us. And on our website, we even have this little guide that was written by one of the Spirit Airlines employees, and she's got 5 kids of various ages, and she is the first person to say, hey, we want to go somewhere, we're going to go, and she just makes it work. And she's such a seasoned traveler, so we really appreciated that resource guide that's on our website. And then with the station managers here, they were wonderful to, they always provide somebody to answer questions. So before we go through the ticketing process, we have somebody come out and they talk about the free strollers, free car seats, free diaper bags. And the diaper bags are really important to know that fly free, because on Spirit, as you know, or maybe you don't know, they charge for their luggage. Aside from a personal item, you have to pay for a carry-on or a checked bag. And so a lot of people are like, oh no, so if I have a stroller, a car seat, diaper bag, personal item, they're seeing these dollars rack up, but it's free. Spirit is so great about being accommodating to children and parents. Those things are necessary. They're almost a medical device, you could say, in importance when you're toting your kid around. So those items, they fly for free, whether you want to check them at the ticket counter or at the gate. and they tell you, hey, check them at the gate if you want to use it. It's no problem at all to us. We just want this to be convenient for you. So they answer the questions, they go to the ticket counter, and that's very important for people who haven't bought tickets for the child. So under 2, they're able to fly for free if you sit them in your lap. But if you want a car seat or you want to take a 2-year-old, then you have to buy a ticket. So those two processes are a little bit different. They will you'll be able to print out your 2-year-old's ticket or your car seat ticket. However, if you have a lap child, you have to go up and get them a boarding pass. And a lot of people don't realize that until they get to the TSA counter and they find out that they need a boarding pass and they have to turn around. So it just answers a lot of questions before you get to those situations.
Listeners, you can go to the Facebook page for the Akron-Canton Airport, and you'll see a lot of comments on these mom tours. One mom wrote, "This is such a wonderful idea because flying for the first time can be extremely stressful." Another wrote, "This is fantastic!" Explanation point. Do you offer field trips for schools? So let's ask Lisa, do you offer field trips for schools?
Right now, we don't. We have a small staff, so we are very strong and mighty for the group that we have. So we have to be very diligent about keeping our resources where they need to be. So with us, our marketing team, we're the ones who are escorting everybody through. And we are 3 people, 2 full-time, one part-time. So we also need to be working on our other projects. But we are happy to answer any questions if people want to call in with their class and ask questions or anything. We would be really happy to. With the field trips, I would love to be able to do tours for everyone every day. Maybe in the future we can do that. But at this time, it's just too small of a staff.
On your website, Akron-Canton there is a special page for Flying with Kids /tour sign up. And on there it mentions that, quote, "As this is an interactive program, groups will be small to allow for questions and comfort." Of course, that's probably before you realize how popular they are. You mentioned the one group, I think you had 50 sign-ups. So what are you doing to sort of keep this as interactive and small and personal as possible while not turning away all the people who want to take part?
We're putting in more tours. So when
Supply
we got
and demand.
Exactly. So when we got the 50, we actually broke it into 2 tours, which was perfect. I don't know how it happened, but half of them were interested in the morning tour and the other half were interested in the evening tour. And so that was another one of our lessons learned is people want different times because they have different scenarios at home. There may be some people who work afternoons, others work in the morning or evenings. And with this, we've brought it out to be 4 times a year instead of just once. So as we see the demand grow, we'll try to be as accommodating as possible. I think right now with the quarterly tours, I think it's perfect. If we see more demand, then we'll address that when the time comes. But right now, I'm excited to see as this next tour, we just opened it on Friday. So as we see the signups come in.
And the next tour will be when?
It will be August 15th.
So listeners, if you are in the Akron-Canton area, make sure to go ahead and get your reservations in because they're going to go very quick. Lisa, I mean, I know that you mentioned you're limiting this to once a quarter, but I wonder if we check back with you in a year if you're going to be doing them weekly. I mean, if it really takes off, I wonder.
You know what? If it helps people to fly with their families, then maybe.
Okay, so why don't you walk us through specifically what goes on this tour? I know you gave us a brief summary in the beginning, but I mean, you've thought ahead of things. For example, you do get gate passes for these families, so they do go through security. Just walk us through, when we're a family and we show up at the airport, where do we go and where are you taking us?
All right, so we have everyone park in our economy lot. It's our cheapest lot that we have. It is $42 for the week, and you're able to park there, and a free shuttle bus, which comes around the clock, will come right to your car and pick you up. The shuttle bus driver will help you get in all of your strollers, your suitcases, anything like that, especially if you're one person traveling with multiple kids. It's very helpful. But anyway, they will pick you up and we're on there. And so we'll answer questions about parking. People are curious about the security in our parking, and they are monitored 24/7. It's a very great place to park. So we take them from that lot up to the terminal, and we go in through our main doors and take them to the ticket wing. So when we go into the ticket wing, we go to Spirit Airlines counters. They are so helpful. They print out the gate passes for everyone. But each of the people who are participating go up to the counter with all of their things the way they would if they were traveling. We encourage families to bring strollers if they plan on using them, to wear their babies if they plan on using a carrier, anything like that. So it's as real as they can make it. They go up to the counter, they show their ID, they check in, they're able to ask any questions about that process in particular. Once everybody checks in, that's when we meet up in one space, and Pam, who is our station manager here for Spirit Airlines, she comes out and she will answer so many questions. People ask about their luggage, what they can bring, how the ticketing process works for a 2-year-old. And then we take everyone from there and then move on to TSA, where we meet with a supervisor. And he answers so many questions, because that's where people are really confused when they're flying for the first time. And you know that people who are seasoned travelers, still you're like, oh, can I take this? Can I not take this? So anyway, he'll answer questions such as, can I wear my baby through? What happens if my baby has a heart coil or something like that, a medical device installed? We even have questions such as traveling moms who are going for work without their children. Can I take my breast milk with me and my freezer bags? And the answer is yes, and a lot of people don't know that. So they ask all of their questions, and we try to facilitate that too, because there are some questions people don't know to ask, and that'll spur even more questions. It kind of gets the wheels turning. From there, we walk through security. So all of the kids are familiar with, oh, I get to leave my shoes on here. We're going to walk through this really cool metal detector. And my mom's here the whole time. My dad's going to be right on the other side. So they feel comfortable with it. The parents are also able to put their snacks and things through, and they feel comfortable with that. They're able to ask, is this going to harm the food? Which the answer is no, but that is something, if you're not familiar with the process, you may not know. So then they go all the way through. Some of them get flagged for a little bit of additional screening, so they see what happens. For example, if your formula is in an opaque bottle, they need to do a little bit more testing. And that actually makes people feel more comfortable, just to see what would happen in that instance. There's also some residue testing for strollers, and it shows that things are really easy, they're quick. If you do get flagged for anything, it's 2 extra minutes that you're in there. From there, we go into the secure side, and we show them the family-friendly amenities. So we have companion care restrooms, we have water bottle fill-ups, we have a great area called our Playport. We partner with Step 2, which is a local company here, which helps to outfit the whole area with all sorts of things like playhouses and teeter-totters and things like that, where kids can burn off energy. We show them that area, and right next to it is the lactation station. So if a mom doesn't feel comfortable nursing in the open area, she can go in there. Or if moms need to pump or anything like that, it's quiet. There's a chair in there. And then we also show them our business center, which is great if you need to print anything. So if you forgot your hotel accommodations that you wanted to print that off, you can go over there and print it off for free. So it's really nice to show them those amenities. We also take them upstairs and show them the family-friendly food places that they may want to stop, like Arby's or Cinnabon, and then we take them to the gate. And then we show them where they would walk up if they needed to get a tag for their stroller and things like that. And then afterwards, we take them back through and kind of let them see everything again. And we have a question and answer session at the very end. So if they had any questions from the shuttle buses that maybe they didn't think of until later, if they had questions about the airport in general, it's a good way for us to just kind of gather and kind of debrief about things. And that's where we give them snacks and coffee. We give the kids all juices. We don't give them coffee. And Spirit is so wonderful. Their team is great. They also give them little toys, so they're able to take a plane home with them or something like that. And that's fun because then we see a lot of people will post on our Facebook page afterwards with their kid and playing with their toy, and they're really interested in aviation too afterwards, which is a great thing that we didn't expect. But you just kind of get the bug, especially whenever we take them to the Spirit gates because they can see the planes right outside.
You're doing a job recruitment program.
Yeah, we're trying to help with that pilot shortage, getting them interested in aviation early on.
So your number one goal here, it sounds like, is education.
Yes. Yep. And, we are part of the community in such a big way. And so we have the facility to open to people to help them through this. And it's a unique experience, and we just want people to enjoy their vacation from the very beginning to the very end. And we want families just to not worry about the travel portion of it. And as an employee of the airport, I wish that we could make everything from beginning to end the absolute best, but at least while they're in the airport, we can.
I can just tell some of our listeners are jealous already that this is not at their local airport. If it's not at their local airport, should they call and suggest this? Would you recommend that they call their airport officials and say, hey, look, I heard there's this mom's tour at the Akron-Canton Airport, and can you do something like that?
Sure. And I would be happy if the airports want to contact me for some advice or the outline of it. I'd be happy to give it up. It is not anything we're trying to keep all for ourselves. If everyone could offer this, I think it'd be really beneficial. It's been something that people are really appreciative of, and it really is not a whole lot from us. It's just our time.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. What does this cost the airport to do?
Oh, nothing. It's just we partner with all of our folks here to help us, and they're out running the shuttle buses anyway. So we are very thankful that they take a couple of extra minutes to give us dedicated shuttle buses. And Spirit Airlines is down there checking people in and doing their job, and they're excited. And another thing with that is since Spirit is fairly new here, it was a good experience for the ticket agents who it may be their first time in an airport. So it gave them an educational experience so that whenever this is happening every other day, they're really familiar with how they check in an infant, how they're able to look at diaper bags and be able to check those things in. So overall, it helps the airport. It helps just as much as the folks who are coming in. So aside from we pay for the coffee and the snacks. Aside from that, it is free.
If people go on your Facebook page right now, Akron-Canton Airport, they will see pictures of moms and their kids, parents and their kids on these tours. And that's one of the things that you mentioned a moment ago that I wanted to hit on was that photos are allowed during this tour, correct?
Yeah. And we have worked with TSA and Spirit to make sure that we're compliant with their regulations, and we're able to let people take photos if they want to know anything, like remember, oh, I need to go here when I get my gate, if they want to snap a picture or something like that, or if they just want to take pictures because it's a fun memory they have with their kids, they're more than welcome to.
Do you think you have met your goal for these tours? When you first started it, the very first one back in February, have you met your goal or exceeded your goal?
The goal that we set at the time, yes, but now my goal is to educate every parent who wants to fly. So
wow.
That's lofty. But
what do you have, Lisa? 100 million to go?
Yeah, that's all. Small goals here. Yeah, but as long as we're getting people through these doors and able to answer their questions and see the relief on their faces, that's exactly what we want to happen.
Finally, let me ask you, what did your boss say when you recommended doing this, and what do they say now that they've seen that it's taken off? Pun intended, of course.
Well, at first, I have a great boss, and so he understands where we're coming from. And I went to him and I told him the situation, like, hey, I think this is something that we might be able to offer once a year. I think there's some interest in it, and this is why we should do it. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I trust you. Go ahead. And so we so we had it, and then it got bigger and bigger, and he'll be the first to admit, he's like, you know what? This is a really good idea. He goes, it was a good idea before, but it's really taken off. So
Well,
he's happy with it.
yeah, well, if there hadn't been a need, it wouldn't have become popular. But the fact that it has become popular and growing every time, there must be a need out there for this type of educational tour.
Exactly. Yep. And another point is we have other airlines here too, like Delta, United, and American, and they're all great too. Each of them are very accommodating to children and parents. And so we answer questions that parents may have if they're flying on Delta, for example, and we're able to touch on that. So where Spirit is an amazing partner, we can answer questions about all of the different airlines we have.
And what are the airlines that you have there at the Akron-Canton Airport?
Sure, we have American, Delta, Spirit, and United.
I think you used to have Southwest, right?
We did. They no longer fly from here.
Well, they're not included in the Moms Tour then.
They are not. If they come back, we'll be happy to include them.
Lisa Dalpays is the Director of Marketing for the Akron-Canton Airport in Ohio and the brainchild of the Moms Tour / Dad's Tour / Parents Tour / Everybody's Tour at the airport. Listeners, you can go onto their Facebook page, Akron-Canton Airport, and on their website, akroncantonairport.com, to check out more on their Moms Tour. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing this with our listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Listeners, what do you think about a Mom's Tour? Would that help you and your family before you travel this year? Are you going to request one from your local airport? Let us know by rating this podcast, giving us a review, and sharing it on social media. We have guests every week talking about travel news and trends, so be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We'd sure appreciate your review. It helps bring more awareness to our journalism and original content. And if you have an idea for a future guest on our podcast, please reach out at voyagereport.com and let us know. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Mark Albert. Bon voyage.
You've been listening to the Voyage Report podcast. Get the scoop on travel at voyagereport.com.